Well, hello and welcome to this training video on the purchasing module with Inside Express Maintenance. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about, or during this video, we're going to be talking about the overview of purchasing, and we'll get into the details in some future videos. So the things that we're going to be taking a look at are the setup options that you have, your workflow options, or just the general workflow of purchasing and how that works. We'll take a look at some of the key menus involved with purchasing, and then some of the grid properties. And basically, when it comes to the grid properties, any of the menus that you see, if you see grid properties, which are those column and data sheets, then just take notes of those column headers. Those are our recommendations. And then we'll discuss some field definitions along the way. All right, so let's take a look at purchasing. When we're talking about purchasing inside Express Maintenance, we're looking for this purchasing menu. Okay, what we're trying to do is identify the parts that have met their minimum or they're below their maximum, and we are setting reorder points. We're creating purchase orders for those parts, and we're either sending those directly to the vendor, or we're submitting those as requests for quotes to the vendor, or we are simply sharing those reorder reports with our purchasing department, who can then place the purchase for us, and then we receive against those when they come in. So let's take a look at some of the necessary setup options, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because these are pretty self-explanatory, but under the administration configuration section, you have a parts inventory menu and a purchase orders menu. Here is just some very basic options for you as far as your parts inventory are concerned. And then you also have some purchase order menu options here as well. Okay, so when we look at the overall workflow of purchasing, it's important that you understand that your parts are reduced from your quantity on hand through work orders. So if I go to purchasing and I go to my parts reordering and I look at my inventory, this is an inventory analysis, and I'll get into this in more detail in another video. But if I just hit search here, you can see this controller lift FR5849 has a quantity on hand of 8. If I go to a work order, and this work order happens to have a part with a quantity of 1, I'm going to change that to quantity of 2 and save it. And then I'm going to go to my parts inventory analysis. Watch that 8, go to search again, it became 7. Okay, so notice that the work order is still open. It hasn't been completed. What's been completed is that part. So you can complete parts prior to completing the work order. And that happens if you have multiple services on a work order and there are multiple people and they're not coming in on the same day or doing it at the same time. It happens. But when you complete the part, that consumes it from inventory. Okay. So then when you've consumed your parts, or you have a process in place by which you are purchasing parts, you're going to regularly come into the parts inventory analysis, which just is real short. It's just a quick snapshot of how your current work order load is affecting your parts inventory. And we'll get into this in another video, but based off these dates, you're looking at how those work orders are affecting your inventory. It can be really powerful. Look for a more detailed video of this on our YouTube channel. But then you want to go into reordering, and this is where you are being proactive with your parts inventory. You do a search, and you're right now you're ordering to minimum. You can order to maximum, and basically the difference here is that when I go to create a purchase order, it's either going to order to my minimum on hand. So in this case, I have 3. It'll order to 5. Or if I change this to maximum, it'll go from 3 to 17. The difference being either 2 or 17 on that purchase order. Okay, so that's what that's for. Don't confuse this. This is a search area. If I collapse that search button, it is part of that, but this doesn't actually affect how the search runs here. The different things that can affect it are these other fields. Like if I go quantity within reorder of 1, I can hit search, and it's going to bring in more on the order point. Instead of just ordering it to the minimum, it's going to order it to the minimum plus 1.
So from here, we identify those parts that need to be reordered.
You just simply create a purchase order. And you can create a purchase order, this part or this vendor, and then that part shows up on here. Notice that we're ordering to maximum. And so I fill this out, I save it, and I now have an open purchase order. I can then go to my parts receiving when those parts come in, enter a new receiving record, put in that PO number, and it's going to put in all of those parts. When I save this, I've just increased that part quantity by 17 based off the receiving document. Okay, so I know that's a really quick overview, and we're going to get more details in future videos, but I wanted you to see how those work. If you have any questions, I'm getting ready to put a slide up that will show you how to contact us, or of course, go to expressmaintenance.com and you can contact us there as well. We look forward to working with you, and please contact us if you have any questions. Bye-bye.